Mr. Selman, do you want to react?
Thank you. Yes, I would just very briefly. Mr. Kwane mentioned something about the subject choice issue, and the fact that, well, his perception that there's nothing new between grade 10 and grade 12 in terms of maths literacy. It's not the case, and I just want to emphasize what MEC Machwe was saying. The point is that mathematical literacy is not an academic subject, and it was never intended to be one. Now, this is perhaps, let me say, our fault as a department for not having communicated this fact, that mathematical literacy as a subject is not an academic subject, and therefore it is no substitute. It's not a standard grade form of maths or a lower form of mathematics. Just to emphasize the point. The matter of having pupils taking science, physical sciences, and not taking mathematics has been addressed. Now, it's obviously a problem, and we took note of it back in 2011, particular note, and the communication through the system was such that the policy that was communicated was that children who do not do mathematics cannot choose science. End of story. But the problem is that there's a bit of a legacy, there's a lag, because there were kids in the system that were taking science without taking maths. It takes time to work that through the system. The logic is obvious. You can't do science unless you do maths. The algebra is essential and intrinsic. I beg your pardon. And Kosana, I want to just elaborate very, very briefly and talk to you as a parent. My kids go to King David School, which is a private faith-based school. I choose the school for a number of reasons. One of them is not because it's an IEB school. I've taught in IEB schools, and I've taught in state schools. My preference is teaching in state schools, and before I moved to the ministry, I taught in a state school. I was teaching in the south of Joburg, teaching kids, mostly township kids, in what was once upon a time a House of Assembly school, Model C school. I don't know what that means anymore because the demographics have changed so much. We've got township populations in suburban schools, so it's a bit strange. I don't believe that the IB as a system is intrinsically better than what the state provides because, firstly, the IB has to follow the same curriculum. It is one curriculum. I'm not talking about anything else other than the curriculum. It has to follow the same curriculum, otherwise Umalusi could not put the two on par. It's as simple as that. So it's the same curriculum. It's the same content. I believe that the difference is that the IB schools, in the main, are better funded, appeal to or are accessible to people who have more money generally. So they may be lower middle income families to middle income to high income, but they're not poor. There is no such thing as an IB school that is poor. No such thing. Despite the protestations of the Independent Schools Association and their allies. The point is that those schools can afford to engage better teachers, and teachers will move where the money is, because teachers are people. And you get what you pay for. What is different about them is that the teachers are A, better paid, more motivated, and at risk of losing their jobs. The unions, which I'm not a union basher, but the presence of unions in IEB schools that are fee-paying schools, they are all fee-paying. There is no such thing as an IEB school that is not fee-paying. The union influence is much less, and therefore the teachers tend to be more committed. And there aren't those same pressures that exist in the rest of the system. So your child gets exposed to more consistent, let's call it more consistent and better, a wider range of higher quality teaching and instruction, the kind of problem-solving issues that were mentioned just now, than a state school. And the MEC mentioned the critical feature. And I want to share something with you, and then I'll sit down and be quiet. Okay. I was in Thohoyandou 3 weeks ago. I went to a school called Liba Secondary School. 138 kids in matric in one classroom taking mathematics. They don't do maths literacy in the school. It's a 2,000 pupil school from grade R to grade 12, one school. 138 kids. 1/3 of those kids got bachelor's passes. 1/3. That's amazing. 138 kids in one classroom taking maths. That's amazing. So when we talk about what realities we have to consider those things. So yes, if you can afford it, great. Send your kid to a private school. There's nothing wrong with it. The fact is that for the majority of people today in our country, the state is providing a damn sight more than the state provided 20 years ago. And that's the point. And that's what affects people from day to day. So yeah, you get what you pay for. You have the capacity.
Thank you, Mr. Manugo. Much appreciated for those